We are Cambridge.
Cambridge Radio. From the Terraces.
Cambridge Radio.
This is From the Terraces on Cambridge Radio. I'm your host, Scott McGeorge. So we're 1 week on from that dramatic afternoon in Crewe. As promotion truly sinks in, we'll take a look at the retained list as we say goodbye to a couple of iconic players departing the Abbey. The U's also bid farewell to first-team coach Barry Corr as he pursues a new challenge. Baz oozed class as a player, person and coach. Earlier on this week, I caught up with Cambridge United CEO Alex Tunbridge as he reflects on what's been a great season. We'll also hear from Cladara COO Brad Van Leeuwen. It's safe to say Brad has caught the Cambridge United bug. If you'd like to get in touch with tonight's show, you can do that via text or WhatsApp on 07919 070490. Alternatively, email studio@cambridge.radio. We'll crack on with our final show of the season. It's a very good evening from our Gwyder Street studio. As I said, this is our season finale, so enjoy. Thanks for listening in this season. We'll be back sometime in pre-season there, but we're going to have a nice break. But it's been a great season to report on. Only 8 defeats for Cambridge United, and we'll be going through the retained list. We'll hear from, as I said at the top of the show, Alex Tunbridge, who's doing a remarkable job there behind the scenes. Good evening to tonight's guests. We've got Tim Armitage, Michael Barnes and Gary Atyes. How are you doing, gentlemen?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Really good.
Great, thanks very much for your efforts all this season as well. It's been much appreciated. And as Jim alludes to here, we got a message in. Hi, Scott. First of all, thanks for a fantastic programme throughout the season with great guests. Well done. We never make it easy, do we? Let's be honest. We should have been up about 4 games before the Crewe match because of some silly injury time goals. I was always a big fan of Mr. Harris and I'm confident we'll be okay next season. What's the situation on contracts? Brilliant Job is still in contract. Personally, looking forward to going to Hillsborough and getting 6 points from that bunch up the A1. Win or lose, up the U's, Jim in March. Thank you very much, Jim, and likewise, thanks for all your contribution this season, your questions and feedback. It's much appreciated, and like you said, it's an exciting season ahead, League One, with some tasty-looking local games. Like you say, the neighbours there up the A1, it'll be good, and yeah, I'm sure Neil will be sort of going for a little bit of revenge on them. But yeah, no playoffs, and for me personally, it took a little while to sink in, the promotion. It hit me sort of latter part of last week, about Friday. I got the beers out and I don't know, it just sort of dawned on me and it really hit home. I digested the promotion and you see teams getting ready for the playoffs, and it was the first football-free weekend. I don't know how you dealt with that, Tim. It's normally anxiety, but I was fine sitting in the garden in yesterday's sunshine.
No, it was weird because it struck home quite early for me, and it was more like the depression of no football for the next X number of weeks set in by Monday afternoon. And I'm trying to think, oh, God, I've got to do all those jobs that I've been putting off for months and months and months now. So, yeah, I don't know whether I'm going to enjoy weekends quite as much as I have done recently.
What about yourself, Michael? First football-free weekend, and like I said, it took me a little while to digest, and the emotion hit me a little bit delayed, if you like.
Yeah, I think I was coming to terms with not having any more football when I realised that the reason for the gap was that we'd avoided the dreaded playoffs, because that was always in my mind. It was there on the calendar in brackets, and the 25th of May for Wembley, keep free. But I'm glad I didn't have to keep it free and all of that, and I could do other stuff, which is nice. It's great to get it all sealed and actually to enjoy the summer if we can.
And it's the playoffs we've seen, they've been pretty much most of the games quite cagey affairs, and although if you go up, it's a great way of doing it, getting to Wembley, but it sets you back a right few weeks, and the planning, knowing what division you're going to be in. So to have it done in our case this early, could have been earlier, we know, is a good thing, rather than going through the stress and the rigmarole of the playoffs. Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's avoiding the playoffs themselves, as you say.
Wembley's great if you win, but there's all the stress of getting there. But yeah, you're right. Retained list issued, season tickets on sale, all of that stuff is on hold if you're in the playoffs. So teams are battling away, and that's going to drag on for, well, it's bank holiday weekend, isn't it? That it's all decided. So it's another couple of weeks. So yeah, United's preparations for League One already underway, and that's brilliant.
Gary, what was the weekend like for you? Were you sort of pleased to just have a football-free weekend, like I said?
Well, it continued into midweek for me, because my son, for instance, was on a stag in Marbella, and apparently the big hit at that weekend was Gibbo on the Dance Floor, which I think is a Sophie Ellis-Bextor rerun. So things like that were going on in the background. And I probably came down to earth about Wednesday, and then the retained list coming out, and then slowly I thought, oh, yeah, we're in League One. And then things began to change. You get a bit calmer, and you think, oh, I might watch the playoffs, because you can watch them without worrying about them. That's the thing, can't you? So, yeah, it's been a good week, but slowly and surely, learning the fact that we're in League One, and looking forward to it.
And we're talking now on Sunday evening, of course, Notts County and Chesterfield in action as we speak. I think just kicked off, but yeah, Grimsby are chasing their tie. They were 1-0 up and lost 2-1 against Salford. And two of your favourite managers, Gary, David Artell and Carl Robinson, literally fighting it out on the sideline there this afternoon. So nice not to be involved in any of them shenanigans.
Yeah, and there was an interesting moment, I think, when they got the second goal, Salford, which David Artell, who loves to be in the ear of the fourth official, spent all the time for the next 15 minutes explaining to the fourth official and to Carl Robinson why it shouldn't have been given, and moving his body about like a goalkeeper, which was really strange. I think he was trying to say that the goalkeeper was impeded, or he was unsighted by a player that was standing in front of him as the ball came in. I have to watch it again, but yeah, David Artell does love that connection, and I'm not a lover of Carl Robinson, as you're probably aware, so yeah.
And it was brought to my attention this week, Michael, that Hugh's disciplinary record was actually excellent this season. It was actually only bettered by Grimsby, incidentally, so David Artell can't be as bad as we're sort of making out. But Hugh's just with 67 yellow cards and 2 reds. And, even for Neil, we know he had that bit of a spat up at Grimsby, and even then I think he probably told himself, right, don't get involved. And you see him on the sideline, he wasn't constantly in the fourth's ear, and Barry Cora will speak about, he was usually onto the fourth official, but he took a back seat this season, so it seemed like it was a sort of diligent move not to sort of get too focused on referees and decisions.
Yeah, I think it was really refreshing, that, actually, because you, like Gary says, you always see certain managers and their teams in the ear of the fourth official, and it was almost like United decided to be above all of that, because frankly, what does it do? What good does it do you if you're arguing the toss over something that's happened 15 minutes ago? And you're right, Barry Core did make a habit of being in the ear of the fourth official up until the beginning of last season, and Neil has obviously taken a decision. Cambridge United are better than that, and the disciplinary record reflects that. Just the 2 reds, as you said. One of those, of course, was Jake Eastwood's against Notts County. The other was a very dubious one, Mamadou Jobe, early in the season at Bristol Rovers. So, and I think, as we mentioned before, we've gone whole games without getting any yellows at all, and it does make me laugh sometimes when opposition managers say, well, of course Cambridge are a big physical team, and we're going to have to be on our guard against them. I think we still need to be a bit more physical somehow, but without the loss of discipline. So that's a real feather in our cap to be disciplined.
Yeah, top of plenty of lists, and Jim sort of messaged in looking ahead to next season. Tim, any games sort of take your fancy there? So it could be some real entertaining ones and big crowds, and it's exciting to look forward to, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the weirdest one's got to be Leicester. I mean, who'd have thought you'd be playing Leicester? What was it, 10 years since they won the Premier League or something like that? And now we're playing them in League One, and that's the beauty of football, is you can cross off if you're not. I've not crossed them off the 92, so that's great. But also to be playing, well, I suppose to be playing a team of that class, but I suppose they're not, because that's why they're playing in League One next year. So yeah, I mean, there's lots to look forward to, I think, to next year. I still this is heresy, but because I've not really been around for long enough to understand the Peterborough, the rivalry there, because I've not seen. So it's something I've not seen, because for so many seasons we didn't play each other that it kind of passes me by a little bit. Leighton Orient for me is the one that that's the big rivalry for me, because that's the nearest local derby that happened a number of times while I'm here. So I get it, and we, especially last year when we were humiliated a little bit by the games against Peterborough. So it would certainly be good to get your own back, irrespective of what I think about the rivalry.
Yeah, 34 years ago today, I was actually a ball boy behind the goal at the Newmarket Road end against a certain Leicester in the playoffs, and I think they went on to play Blackburn in the final, was it? And that was the very first Premier League. That's right. Yeah, didn't think I'd be bragging about sort of showing off about going to Leicester, but evidently we are. It's a nice stadium, and yeah, that's certainly one to look forward to. Like Jim says, Hillsborough, some bad experiences there in League One, so we'll be hoping to put that right. Certain Barry Bannon scoring a worldie there, I think, wasn't he? And again, I'm be seeing Barry in different circumstances. I'm off to the New Den tomorrow night, where our head coach will be as well, Millwall Hull, so taking in a bit of playoff action that should be good. Yeah, as I said earlier on in the week, I caught up with someone who's played a massive part in the sort of recent rise of Cambridge United post-COVID, in Alex Tunbridge. He's bright, he's great with the sort of media and press, and he's just doing a brilliant job behind the scenes. And yeah, I think, and like we're lucky to have Neil Harris, etc. And I think the spine of the club is excellent. You look down to Neil Rowe, Gaz Daniels in the commercial side, the board of directors. I've said before on the show, I think it's a bit of a dream team, and it was a pleasure to catch up with Alex earlier on in the week, where we talk a little bit about reflection, promotion, expectations, and just how pleased we are with how the season's gone. Here's Alex Tunbridge. So Alex, as we conclude the 25-26 season, quite a remarkable achievement given where we were 12 months ago. We had a review of the football side. That's obviously paid off, you would say, with culminating in automatic promotion.
Yeah, I think one of the things we probably got right was to sort of look over the wall and see what might be coming middle of last season. If you look at the club, it's gone up into League One under Bonds. Great first season, and then maybe the squad hasn't been churned over as it needed to be. Quite ageing squad, which led to final day survival, which was great memories. But you can probably go through that once. To go through it again, final day, and then the third season then to go was probably, to a certain degree, the writing was on the wall. And I think it was really brave of the owners and directors that in that sort of January, February time, they said, look, enough's enough. We need to look at the long-term future of the football club. Maybe we need to take a step backwards to go forwards. Look, we made a really difficult decision to part company with Ben and Gary, but bringing in Bonds and Neil, I think we've set up a new structure, a new way of operating, and I think for the first time, certainly since I've been here, the football side and the business side are probably on a par, and I think we're going to go back into League One a completely different outfit than when we were in it before. But look, if we talk about sort of objectives for the season, the first objective really was don't get relegated. If you look at the last couple of years, Forest Green, Carlisle United, they've all come out of League One, gone into League Two and gone straight back down. If you look at the teams who came down with us, Crawley, Shrewsbury, Bristol Rovers, they've all had really difficult seasons, but they probably acted late or they couldn't act at the time they wanted to. So I think acting when we did, whilst we probably had to sacrifice League One status last season, it's meant we probably go back into League One for next season a much stronger outfit.
Was there a little bit of inner belief and some sort of expectation that we could be really competitive, or conversely get automatic promotion? It might have taken some people by surprise, but like you said, the structure was in place with Bonds, and Neil is a very highly regarded manager throughout the EFL divisions.
I think with any Neil Harris side, they're going to fight for their lives, they're going to be difficult to beat, they're going to keep lots of clean sheets. So we knew that would happen. We knew we'd be better in the second half than the first half because we had to build the squad and bring it together, and I think we saw that. I think it was always going to come down to how many goals we could score, and the number of goals we could score would probably correlate to where we finished. Yes, I think we certainly achieved more than we thought we could on the pitch, but when you've got great people and you've got a great culture, you can often achieve more than you think. So full credit to Neil, Bonds and the whole team, really. They've certainly exceeded our expectations for the season, and to bounce back first time is quite a feat.
And we tackle a lot of adversity in life and in football, and you were fighting fire a lot last season with sort of interviews, etc. But it was a nice moment at Crewe Alexandra last Saturday. Yourself and chair of the board, Sean Grady, on the pitch presenting the medals to the players, and it was a fitting moment and nice for yourself. You've done some great work since you've been at the football club, Alex, arriving in January 2022. So some nice recognition in front of over 2,000 of the U's fans on Saturday was a memorable moment.
Yeah, I think that it's funny when you think about promotion, you always want to do it at home, always, and I think there'll always be a piece where we look back and think, it should have really been done here against Barrow. So, but nonetheless, it was done. Brilliant atmosphere. To see that many supporters go to Crewe really probably tells you the progress we've made as a club. Really nice moment. Obviously, if Kel Watt scores in the last minute and we win 1-0, I think it probably feels slightly different. But look, nonetheless, great achievement. It's end of my 4th season here at the club. Lots of ups and downs, but all in all, really enjoyed it. Great people, great owners. And look, the hard work of so many people now is coming to fruition. And I truly believe, as I've just mentioned, we will be a different beast next season in League One.
Let's hope we are. Gary, I'll come across to you as a formal commercial manager at Cambridge United. You can sort of understand the good work that Alex has done at the football club. He's bright, he's ambitious, he's kind of like Bonds in a different role, isn't he? He's been a great addition to the football club. Yeah,
for me, it's the advancement across all the parts of the football club off the field, and that's been really, really important. You look at our rebrand and the merchandising and the way it's been handled, so that's all gone up a level. The sponsors are now global. If you look at Brooks, American company, look at Cladara, international company. Every area of the football club has progressed and improved. The match day experience has been improved in every area. Yeah, there are still issues. There are always going to be issues with catering, which I think is always the most difficult thing in any sporting environment, to be honest with you. It doesn't matter what the sport is. But in what he's done and what he's achieved and taken us forward has been absolutely fantastic. And also that credibility amongst all the institutions and stakeholders across the city, whether it be the university, both universities, Cambridge and ARU, and also you're looking at all the other connections to some of the big brands that are in the city as well. So it's been an absolutely fantastic achievement, but no surprise, I think he's a class act.
Yeah, and it's important. I spoke to Paul Barry at Christmas there, Tim, and to shrug off that sort of little old Cambridge tag, and we're growing, like Gary said, commercially with the branding, with sponsors now and the crowd. So, we've got to keep the momentum of the club and grow it together as a whole, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Football, whether you like it or not, is primarily a business. It can't survive without the cash, and we've seen what that's done. Not, to us to a lesser extent, but to clubs up and down the league. If you don't have the money, it's very, very difficult to survive. So to have that, to build what we've built, to get the commercial bits on the right footing, to get national sponsors in, to become a community club. We've talked about it for a long time, and it's developed over a long period, but genuinely we are a community club, and you go and talk to lots and lots of people who have nothing to do with necessarily coming down and watching football, but they see the teams out in the schools, they see the events that we put on, they see all of these things that strengthen the community. My one bugbear is that the council, I don't think, still treat us not as they should do as a major part of what Cambridge is, as we've heard in the past. But yeah, you've got to get it right everywhere. On the pitch is fantastic, and you have to have that. But if you haven't got it off the pitch, you can't afford to do it on the pitch, and ultimately you don't succeed as a football club. So it's fantastic. It bodes well. We've said this year after year. Every year the club as a whole is strengthening, and that can only be a good thing going forward.
Yeah, it's in a superb place, and one of the sponsors are Cladara, and as I said, we were going to play this clip last week. We were so consumed with what had happened at Crewe in the promotion. I caught up with Brad Van Leeuwen. He's the COO of Cladara, and yeah, he was a really sort of infectious personality, and like I said at the top of the show, he's got the Cambridge United bug. Here's Brad Van Leeuwen, COO of Cladara. So I'm here with Brad Van Leeuwen. He's the co-founder of Cladara. We're enjoying a brilliant day at the Abbey Stadium, the Cladara Cup, which has been a superb day and something you do annually. It's been a fantastic afternoon, hasn't it, Brad?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. We get so many customers, partners, and hopefully future customers from the Cambridge area to the stadium to have some fun on the pitch.
And just tell us, Brad, a little bit about Cladara and what they offer.
Yeah, so Cladara is a software management platform. So we help businesses be successful with their software by helping them get visibility and control over all the money that they're spending on the software they use to run their business.
Brilliant. And your principal sponsors of the Abbey Stadium, obviously the Cladara Abbey Stadium as it is now. Just tell us how that come about and how much you're enjoying being involved with the football club.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really wonderful opportunity that a mutual connection that we had with the club put us in touch with. Just at the point in time where the club was looking for a sponsor, I think for us, what's been great about it is, as a technology business, to a lot of people, we're just a website on the internet, and there are lots of websites on the internet. So be able to be here, you know, with our name on the Cladara Abbey Stadium in Cambridge, which is a fantastic tech hub where we've got lots and lots of customers, really made a lot of sense.
And, you know, I spoke to you earlier on in the day, and you're very keen to collaborate with the football club. You're not just a sponsor that just sort of sits there, if you like. You're very involved with the club and close to Neil on the commercial side, so you're enjoying the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we came as a sponsor. And I've got to say, at this point, we're fans. Like, anything that we can do to support the club, bring expertise in, introduce them to people, just to make the club, get value from the sponsorship as well, is really important to us.
And from my point of view, it's a good time to be on board at Cambridge United. I've supported them for many, many years, and I've never seen the club thrive like it's thriving. We're getting sellouts regular, and everyone wants to be a part of Cambridge United now. So if there's a time to be involved, it's right now.
I've got to say, it's a really exciting time, and really cannot say enough good things about Alex running the club so well. Obviously, Paul on the board really does care about the club and the community and is putting so much into making that true. And of course, the board, who are here every match, also on that same journey.
Well, thank you for the invite down today. I thoroughly enjoyed taking part in the day. I think it's been a tremendous effort from both you, Cladara, yourself and the football club, and I'm looking forward to next year already.
Come on, the years.
This is Cambridge Radio.
From the Terraces.
And just looking back on the elation and the joy of the promotion last week at Crewe, there were a few supporters just asking about whether there'd be any kind of formal celebration within the city, and I asked Alex Tunbridge about that and whether we would get one. Here's Alex on that. Not everybody could obviously make the Crewe game, and a few supporters are asking about a celebration parade or a civic reception. We hear there's not going to be one. Is there any sort of explanation around that?
Yeah, I think we have had plan A, B, C and D for about the last 3 weeks, whether that means potential of going up, budgets, season tickets, all of these things. The staff have had to really juggle and move them. We would have loved to have done something. I think just being able to organise something at such short notice, and bearing in mind we went 2 minutes after the full-time whistle before we knew what division we were going to be in, and the fact it was a bank holiday weekend, players, families, commitments, holidays, pitch refurbs, planned work at the stadium, I think it just made it a little bit too difficult for us to get something in last minute. Hopefully those at Crewe will have memories that will last a lifetime, and I think for me one of the greatest things was the Barrow game. which was, although we didn't go up that day, to see the stadium so full with home supporters, to see all the families here, to see the players doing that lap of honour at the end, I thought that was a real moment where the club was really united. And whilst we couldn't quite celebrate then, I think that there's some really great memories in the latter part of the season, but also in the early part that people can reflect on and look at. And look, I'm sure there'll be another day when we can have a promotion party and a parade.
So I think really logistics just made it almost impossible. So you can't blame Cambridge City Council for that one, Tim.
No, you can't. Yeah, I mean, it was a pity. There were a lot of fans who went to Crewe, but there were also a lot of fans who couldn't go to Crewe for many, many reasons, not least not being able to get a ticket. And it would have been nice to have done something like that. Yeah, I get it. When it's that late, when you're going up 2 minutes after the game's finished, then you've kind of got no chance to make those plans. But that's the way it goes. I mean, I think fans, although many would have been disappointed, I think they understand why. And I think it's, the difficulty for me would have been the players, because, of course, they start to make arrangements once the season's finished to spend weekends and other times with family again, because it kind of goes by the wayside a lot, as Neil talked about at the end of that. There's a lot of sacrifices made. So to be able to then relax and be with family is a great way for them to end the season, and I'm sure most fans would understand it.
Yeah, a lot of the players are away in Marbella, sort of enjoying their downtime. Neil had 4 days away in Portugal with his wife, and then a 50th birthday in a mountain in Morocco, I think. Bonds was on a stag do. So yeah,
they've all stalking him or what?
I've got informatives. He'll be at the Den tomorrow as well, as if I haven't mentioned. But yeah, so they've got better things to do with their time. Michael.
Yeah, I mean, Tim is right, of course. But just to play slightly devil's advocate, I mean, open-top bus parades and the like are not always, a couple of days after the event. We've had them, a couple of weeks, maybe a month later. Always used to be that way. Never used to be, right on the back of the event. So, yeah, I can understand it is a logistical problem, but, sometimes you think, well, where there's a will, there's a way. And it's just sad, really, that we've not been given the opportunity, but there it is.
Yeah, it's always special, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've seen a couple at the Guildhall where everyone congregates and, the players get their moment in front of the fans in the city. And like you said, not everyone could make Crewe, so it would have been nice. But I understand both sides, really.
Absolutely,
Yeah. We're going to take a brief break, and then when we come back, we'll be getting stuck into that retained list and talking Barry Core.
Cambridge Radio.
Cambridge Radio podcasts tell the story of our city and the people who live here. Get your cultural fix in Cambridge Arts Roundup.
David was decorating places like St. James's Palace and other grand estates. What's really more sort of surprising is that it is here in this particular terraced house in Cambridge.
Taste the local food scene in flavour.
Cooking with stuff that you've grown and that you've grown within a community is so satisfying.
Follow your local teams in From the Terraces.
It was always going to be a bit of a challenge, and the first half kind of said it was, and the second half said absolutely it wasn't. We destroyed them in the end.
Listen to your favourite Cambridge podcast on Radio Player or wherever you get your podcasts.
Choosing the right sixth form is a big decision. At Chesterton, we offer something a little different. It's a strong academic community with small classes and expert teaching that leads to outstanding results, and places at Oxbridge and other top universities. With Cambridge City on the doorstep, Chesterton sixth form students gain independence too. The choice is Chesterton. Find out more at choice.tela.org.uk. Part of the Eastern Alliance Multi-Academy Trust.
Start your day with news, travel and conversation in Cambridge Breakfast. Weekdays from 7. We are Cambridge.
Cambridge Radio.
So welcome back to From the Terraces. The retained list was promptly released, and there was some confirmation of players that will be departing the Abbey Stadium this summer. No longer under contract: Michael Morrison, James Brophy, Elias Kachunga, Corey Smith, Shane Lavery, Shane McLaughlin, Ben Purrington, Harry Dawson. Lone players returning to their parent club, Killian Kouassi, Adam Mayer, Elliot Nevitt and Sean Raggett. A contract has been offered to James Gibbons. Ongoing discussions to Zeno Ibsen Rossi. Interestingly, contract option year triggered Jake Eastwood, JJ Briggs and George Monday. So, yeah, a few interesting ones. And I suppose the most notable ones are Michael Morrison and he's one of our favourites, Tim, James Brophy. What do you make of the retained list and those two as a whole?
I don't think there was any real surprises in the retained list. Yeah, James Brophy, I assume, there was talk of him going MK Dons and elsewhere, and that's fine. He got game to. I don't know. I'd love to have seen him stay here. I think he can do a lot more, and he could do it with us. I don't see why, potentially not making it into getting settled into a side elsewhere. But it's what it is. For me, the worrying one is obviously James Gibbons. We want him to accept a contract. Hopefully he will. Now he knows that he'll be playing League One football. So that's the one that most concerns me. Some of the lone players I'd love to see back, Adam Mayer, Elliot and others. I think there are some good signings there potentially if their clubs were to let them go, but to me no real surprise. The only one that I thought was an oddity to start off with was the ongoing discussions, and it's because the Irish football season doesn't finish till October, so I presume releasing him before his contract is up there would be a difficult one, so I assume that's why that was done.
Yeah, strange, and he'll be out of contract with us, so I'm not sure how that Zeno Ibsen Rossi one works, but ultimately I don't realistically, in the kindest way, I don't think he's got a future with Cambridge United. James Brophy, yeah, difficult one. It's divided opinion in the fan base there, and his kryptonite was his output, but his output was pretty good this season. He's a player that's reliable. He gives 120% every game. He's never injured. I think he's 32 now, but brutal, ruthless decisions have to be made, Michael, as you said before we entered the studio tonight. And he just fell slightly out of favour towards the back end of the season, and there were a few rumblings and rumours with Brof, and had it again on good authority that he wasn't offered anything, he wanted to stay, but it's not going to be the case for him.
No, that's right, and I think the club have been ruthless with this list, and I know some fans will balk at decisions like the Brophy one, but we've seen what happens in League One when you don't have a squad and a setup that's capable of staying there, and I think the club have learned a lot from the last time in League One, from the relegation and from everything that's happened, and from also positively they've learned from what you have when you do change the thinking at the club to a different culture. And I think that being ruthless and not letting sentiment play a part is a key part of that. People will say, oh, Shane Lavery, lovely guy, fantastic, but he's hardly ever fit. And whatever arrangement people might have had in their minds, there's no way you're going to have a guy on a salary who, you don't know whether he's going to be able to play or not. I mean, Shane McLaughlin, I think people feel has been a bit hard done by because he's only been at the club for a year. And he's been fantastic, but again, his fitness has been called into question, and so he's been shown the door. And I do think that ruthlessness is required. Corey Smith, probably quite a high earner at the club. You could get these people off of the wage bill if you want to attract the calibre of player that I'm sure United do, and that includes, don't forget, somebody who can score goals on a regular basis, and they do not come cheap. So I think you've got this, you've got the ruthlessness, you've got the lack of sentimentality, and you've got the need to create enough headroom in the budget and at the club to be able to bring in players that are available and that you want and are going to be able to do a job for you at the league above, because nobody wants to go up only to come straight back down again. We've been through that. We know what it feels like. This time is going to be better. And I think that's the message coming through from this retained list.
Very much so. Very well summed up, Michael. And I think, Michael makes a brilliant point there. There'll be a lot of the salaries and budget freed up there. These would have been good earners, like even Elias Kachunga, Corey Smith. They've all been on good wages. I know Corey travelled in from the Midlands with Morrow, and Morrow, a bit of a legend, had a bit of an Indian summer with the club, Gary, after starting his career right back in them conference years. And I know it wasn't the season he'd have wished for, but a nice way to sign off, lifting that little trophy or plate or whatever it was last week at Crewe. But ultimately, like he said, what it symbolised, and that was promotion after what was a bleak year last year for him.
Yeah, I definitely think the plate could have been much bigger, but it's not Michael Morrison's fault. Michael Morrison has been a stalwart right the way through, hasn't he? From starting, as a young player, and then coming back and finishing, a couple of years with us. With a promotion, but I think he's got business commitments in the Midlands around where he lives. It's time for him. He might end up with a coaching role somewhere in football. I wouldn't be surprised. He's that sort of character, I think. Morrow, and he, never know, he might reappear in the future at some point. But as for the list, I agree with everything Mike said. Really, you've got to be ruthless. And would you want a 32-year-old Brophy in the team, or a 22-year-old Brophy who they might be able to find, who can carry the ball and score a few more goals? And that's possibly what they're looking for. So I think you just have to sometimes make those decisions, move on and focus on the future.
Surely they're clearing the books anyway to bring Luke Berry in back.
Oh, you never know.
And Will Norris.
The Luke Berry word has been mentioned.
It's amazing, isn't it? You knew it was going to. You knew as soon as he was made a free agent, you go, I'll give it 20 minutes before that's up on the notice board. And
two and two. And what are they making for, Michael, or 94?
I don't know how much they're making, but I've heard a few rumours as well. I mean, I've heard the return of Will Mannion is a possibility in the case that Jake Eastwood decides to move up north to be with his young family.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's any legs in that, but you will hear a lot of rumours swirling around the place, just as Tim was saying that there was a rumour about Brophy being off to MK, and you will get these. And we've just got to see what adds up. I on the sentimentality issue, I mean, of course, likes of Luke Berry are not going to be crossing our threshold again unless they're with the opposition. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be interesting to see who does come in. But they're going to have to fit the Cambridge United model, and I'm sure they'll be here on merit, whoever they are.
Yeah, well, my brother was a scholar, fresh-faced scholar with Luke Berry all them years ago, and my brother sort of says he's a veteran now and winding up, so that must mean Luke Berry is, and I'm not quite sure he would fit the mould. I caught up with Bez in pre-season. He gave us a nice interview and spoke highly of Pelly Ruddock, and I can't see it personally, but you never know if he comes back and pinches a few goals and rolls back the years, but I can't see it personally.
There's always chatter among fans about bringing back players who've left the club years ago.
Kwesi Appiah.
Kwesi Appiah. It's just nonsense. And there's so many people out there. And I can understand people, they're familiar with the players that have played for us, but there's no earthly reason why 99.9% of those players will ever come back and play for Cambridge United, because that's not how football works.
And although we've all sort of judged, and we're not really shocked. We heard sort of rumblings that Brophy wasn't going to be offered a deal. Nobody's shocked with really any of the others. We're not surprised that Gibbo's been offered a deal, but we can't really judge until we know what's come in yet, can we? We're all, we will probably miss James Brophy. He's a charismatic figure around the training ground. He's popular with the fan base. As I said, he could probably still do a job, but we have to trust the powers that be in the process, don't we?
Yeah, we probably do. And another contract for Brophy would go against that lack of sentimentality, I think, because as you say, there's his age. There was a slight concern about his selectability at the end of the season, whatever that surrounded. But if you contrast that with James Gibbons, Gibbons won Player of the Year. He was, on merit, a fullback who, when he was on loan with United, was, I don't think anybody thought he was anything special. But under Neil Harris, he's been absolutely transformed. And I think James Gibbons is the model of the kind of player that Neil Harris wants to build his side around, because it's never say die. I think he may be captain, actually, because he's exactly the kind of leadership material that you want on the pitch, and he expects that of his teammates as well. So I think nail Gibbons down with a new contract, and he'll be the first player on the team sheet next season.
I'll take it out to Marbella if they want me. If they want anyone to have that job.
Look, we're not paying you expenses to do that one. Yeah, I mean, I keep thinking about this, and it's like, we second guess what was going to happen this season all the way through, and turns out many people who posted on the internet wrong about it, and now everybody's saying, have we done the right thing? Have we done this? Should we have done that? Should we sign this person? Just leave it to the people who have done a pretty good job this year to actually, I trust them. They're going to make the decisions that make sense for the club. They won't be buying what we can't afford or we don't. I think, there used to be every season we wondered what kind of crock we'd buy who's, going to play one game a season or something like that. And we seem to have finally moved away from that. And we're not going to attract, a 30-goal-a-year striker from the Championship, because we couldn't afford them, even if they wanted to come down to Cambridge. So I let them just get on with it. They've got a plan. That plan will have been in place for a long time. They'll know where they want to go and who would be on our list of players to approach, those that were out of contract, those that were staying down, those that were relegated. There's a lot of people who will be wanting to make moves, and I think we are from the position we're in. We're an attractive club to come to, and we've seen that. I think we should just wait and see what happens. And it'd be great if they could name 2 30-goal-a-year strikers tomorrow, but they're not going to. We know that. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, the recruitment will have to be diligent, and that's something they're working on behind the scenes. And I'm sure they'll get it right, as they did last summer. And if Gibbo signs, it'll be keeping that really solid, defensive, tight personnel that's been so effective this season also. So they deserve a chance in League One. I said that last year. Really and truthfully, it's no good Kel Watts hanging about in League Two again. He's with us in League One, and that they deserve to take their chance. And I mean, that we're in the position we're in because the defence stopped shipping goals, and that's if you're not going to score them, you've got to stop them, and that's the truth of it. And the number of clean sheets we've had says that the half that needs the praising is the defensive half of the team, and I don't think they've necessarily got that credit. Everyone who scores gets the man of the match is always the person that scores, not the person that makes 3 brilliant blocks on the line and clears the ball out of defence. So let's praise them, and we're keeping the core of that. Hopefully Gibbo will be part of that, and that will be a huge step forward for us again. Yeah, Gibbo was our Roy of the Rovers of the season, wasn't he? His name was bounding out around the Abbey. He was Player of the Year, scoring worldies, assists. I'm looking forward to him getting his teeth into League One. He's in his prime for me. But like I say, sad to see James Brophy and Michael Morrison go. Both brilliant servants. As again, I spoke to Alex Tunbridge about the departing. Fantastic. And recently the retained list was put out. A couple of notable players that have been great servants to Cambridge United in James Brophy and Michael Morrison. He's had 2 stints here at the start of his career and at the end, so fitting that they were seen off with promotion. But it's especially with Brophy, people were quite sort of sad. It sort of divided a bit of opinion, but both brilliant servants to the football club.
Yeah, I think working in football, one of the things you have to do is learn to say goodbye to people, and that's difficult, particularly for those 2 guys. I mean, Morrow, homegrown player, has been at the club since he was 16, had an exceptional career, way above this level, but to come back, saved us a few years ago, and has been a phenomenal leader, role model in the football club. So to see him go is a sad moment, but he goes really a United legend. And Bropes really becomes, an iconic player, which I'm sure when fans look back in 20 years, they'll always remember James Brophy. So, there's others in there. We've had to make some difficult decisions, but I think it's also important that we learn maybe from the 4-year period we had in League One. Where did we maybe make the mistakes? Where did we maybe gamble on certain players with injury records that we shouldn't have done? We only have a finite amount of money, and we need to try and use that to the best of our ability and make it go the furthest and have the biggest impact on the pitch.
regular contributor to the show, Will Jones, also had a view on the retained list. Here's Will Jones.
For me, I think it's pretty clear looking at the retained list that it's quite ruthless this season we've gone, and Brophy is a perfect example of that. He's had a good season, really good season, the first part particularly, and I think we're learning from the mistakes of the past. When we got promoted after lockdown, we did retain quite a lot of that squad, whereas we're obviously letting a lot of players go. So we are losing quite a lot of experience and quality out of the squad, but we're retaining, key players in key areas. Hopefully Gibbo will sign, and that will be the whole of the defence that obviously was the best record in the EFL last year. We've got good midfielders there. The key area over the summer is obviously that striker department, and we need a talisman, we need a backup, we need some real quality there, because that's going to be the difference, because we're not going to have much of the ball next season, and we need to make the chances we have got count. And when you look at the tail end of this season, that's what we didn't do, and it almost cost us big time. It only would have taken one goal at Salford, and that would have been, we'd be talking about the playoffs now. So it's an exciting summer though, where we can reinvent ourselves again and just add those key areas that we need to add in, and hopefully with the mistakes that we made when we made the transition last time, we can learn from them. And obviously we've got Mark Bonner in the building, who was a big part of making those learning mistakes. Obviously we had a great few years in there, but I'm sure he would have done things differently now, and this is a perfect opportunity to do that, because I think as a football club we are a lot better prepared to make the step up to League One than when we did it in lockdown. I think it actually almost came a little bit too quickly for us, and we adapted quickly and thought quickly on our feet. But this is exciting. It's exciting times to be a fan, and bring on 2026, 2027. Come on, Atyes!
Cambridge Radio.
From the Terraces.
Thank you very much, Will Jones. And I'll come across to you, Gary, as not only are we talking about playing staff, we're talking about some coaching staff and a key cog that's an extremely popular figure at Cambridge United in Barry Corr. Obviously played, blighted with injury towards the end of his career, but he's took interim charge on a couple of occasions, and 3 different managers, and he's just been a joy to deal with. He's serving his time in his coaching capacity, and it's a mutual decision by all accounts, so we wish Barry Corr all the best going forward, surely.
Absolutely. He was a legend, a great striker, wasn't he? And when he came back to the club in a coaching role, we were really pleased. He's been a really great servant through lots of changes. There's a couple of periods of caretaker manager probably been a little bit disappointing. I think some of the results weren't quite what we'd hoped, but difficult circumstances for him always. And there's been times where people say, "Oh, get rid of everybody," get all the fans, get rid of all the coaching. But he's been worth his place, and I think if anything, it's the time for him probably to find a management role for himself somewhere, and that may well be happen. I have to say also, I'm still trying to get the vision of Scotty and Gibbo on the dance floor in Marbella out of my head at the moment. So.
Yeah, don't give me ideas. I'll be out there. But as I said, Michael Barry Corr, not too many superlatives we can sort of put towards him. He's a classy, I say he was a classy player, wasn't he? He's a classy guy, classy coach. He's very, very popular within the players. This season you could see that. I remember going to one of the pressers and coming out, and Scotty called me over, and he was sat there with Ben Knight. He said, I was just telling Ben what a duo we'd have been up front. Now that would have been pretty good. I think Ben would have loved to have played off of Big Baz's flicks and his physicality up there.
Yeah, I think that's right, Scott. That would have been quite something to see, wouldn't it? I think, it's a mark of how much respect Barry Corr has held at Cambridge United. That if you look back on his playing career with us, he only played about 50 games over a 3-season period, because obviously he was coming to the end of his playing career and his knees were not what they used to be. But I think I'm right in saying he scored 20-odd goals in those 50-odd appearances, approximately speaking. And so he did make a huge impact during that time. Amid the periods of frustration that he had long spells on the sidelines with injury. But obviously his period as a coach at United, in terms of in time, has easily eclipsed that time as a player. And to be with the club 11 years as a player and a coach, I think is remarkable. It doesn't. I was quite surprised to hear that it would be in 11 years because it doesn't feel that long. But he's done so much. He's filled in as caretaker boss on a couple of occasions, of course. But he's clearly been a great influence around the place. And if you talk to Barry, he's one of the most quietly spoken and frankly nice people. Which you don't always associate with a big centre forward, do you? I suppose it's a bit like Glenn McGrath, isn't it? For Australia, who's absolutely horrible by all accounts on the pitch, but is as nice as pie when you talk to him. So iron hand and a velvet glove. But I wish him well, and I'm sure United fans will wish him well as well. And be interesting to follow his future career and see what he goes into next.
Definitely, some things run its course, and it was a mutual parting and another fitting way for a bit of a legend to leave, Tim.
Yeah, it was, and I'm taken by what he said in his thing about. They talked about him being there for 11 years, and he talks also about then that he's worked under 3 really good head coaches. There's been more than 3 of them, hasn't there?
I think there were 4.
Oh, right, okay. So who wasn't he talking about?
I thought you were trying to knock one off, Tim, there. But
he's been fantastic. He came to the club and he was a talisman when he came to the club, and he's another one of these players who, he didn't play many games for us, but when he did, people remembered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to just move on now, and caught up with Alex Tunbridge, as I said, and here's part 4 of the interview, looking ahead. League One now on the horizon. It's a big challenge, like you say. I'm sure lessons have been learnt. We go into it with, like I said, a strong manager in Neil Harris that knows every level. So, I personally have sort of full faith that we'll be ready to sort of attack League One, as it were. And there is a lot of money. The budgets are high. The wages are big in League One, so it is going to be a challenge. But you look at your former club, for an example, Stevenage. If things are done right, the recruitment's good, you can be successful and sustainable at the level.
Yeah, I think, just mentioned, there is only a finite amount of money, but when you've got a fantastic manager who's worked at a higher level, when you've got a great culture, we've also invested recently in the last year or so into the recruitment side of life, particularly with Nick Tyler-Hicks coming in as head of recruitment. There's a lot of work been going on in the last year that sets us up now for this window. Let's hope we can be savvy. As I mentioned before, we know a Neil Harris side is going to be difficult to beat. We've had a phenomenal home record here at the Abbey this season, which if we can take those 2 pieces into next season, it's going to give us half a chance of certainly trying to stay in that division, but also kick on a little bit more and lay the foundations, hopefully, for a really sustainable period in that division.
And we've seen the crowds, we've mentioned them before, they've been, ridiculously big and satisfying to see full Abbey stadiums at League 2 level as well, which has probably been the big surprise. And next season will be no different. There's some attractive fixtures, the Cambridgeshire Derby, the likes of Leicester City, Luton, some real tasty local games, and season tickets have been on sale a couple of days. I think there's been over 500 sold already. So it's important that fans get their season tickets, because there's plenty of advantages to having a season ticket, isn't there?
Yeah, over the last 4 or 5 years, one of the things Paul Barry's done is really invest into the Abbey. Let's make the Abbey the best matchday experience it can possibly be. There's some news coming out next week around a couple of awards we've run around that in terms of matchday experience, which is really pleasing to see. But next season, as you mentioned, there's going to be some really big sides here. But we've been getting crowds of over 7,000 for the last couple of months of the season. We fully expect that to continue. We're just over 36 hours into season ticket sales, and we're going to be going out shortly to say we've had 1,000 renewals already. If people want to be here next season and they want to see the excitement and the drama, then it's certainly the best way to guarantee your seat. But all in all, it's a brilliant moment for the club, but all we've done is get ourselves back to where we were. Now's the opportunity to really start to build on that legacy and drive the club forward in that division.
And just to finally sign off, you've been at the club a few years now, Alex. We talk about every other factor. How's Alex Tunbridge enjoying his role? You've got good recognition. You spoke very highly of, and you're doing a really good job with the running of the football club on and off the field. So are you enjoying the ride yourself?
Yeah, I think I've loved the 4 years here, and if you correlate that to on the pitch, you know, like first 3 years is sort of a 25% win ratio. So to be in a club which you're enjoying, brilliant owners, brilliant board, great culture, great people, it's really nice to sort of have a bit of reward on the pitch this season. Look, some really exciting things on the horizon.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for your time, Alex, and we'll catch up another time. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you.
So that's Alex Tunbridge there. We're going to finish off with a compilation that includes some of our own features and exclusives. Just like to say thank you for all the support and the kind words, and yeah, we're looking forward to next season. It'll be a good one. What does Cambridge United mean to you in a few words?
Oh, I'm going to be shot down for this one. I jokingly say when people allude to, what's your religion? I say, my religion's Cambridge United.
To be in a club which you're enjoying, brilliant owners, brilliant board, great culture, great people.
And I think when you're in this job or in this industry, that's what you're doing it for yourselves and for the people that you do it with, to just keep creating history and memories along the way.
It takes a little bit of time, you know, there's a lot of hard work and that, and then there's the trust with the players, and they have to get to know me and how I work.
Neil's been brilliant.
Yeah, Scotty, whether it was him being fast-tracked or you.
When he got the job again, I sent him a text, just, you know, best of luck.
Let's start with the important stuff. Go on. Scott, did you come on your skateboard today?
I do. It's my 45th birthday, though.
Is it? Yes, man. Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I know you can do it, mate. I know you can rip up trees. I know you're a great manager.
I'm sure you'll be encouraging everyone to bring their partner along and provide some sexy football.
Yeah, nicely put, Scott. Yeah, Valentine's Day, is it Saturday? Oh, thank you for reminding me. I'll remind my wife of that. I can't promise sexy football in League Two for the 90 minutes.
You know when you just know two things belong together for a period of time?
I made you a cup of tea before we come in. It says how good a position we're in as a football club at the moment. I'm making you a cup of tea.
And it was a good one.
Thank you very much.
Certain things that I know Neil wanted to implement, and I was coming in fresh pair of eyes, and I could see, and we wanted to, you know, really bring the standards up.
You must be proud. I know you've still got work to do and you've got that same work ethic, but mega memories, aren't they?
Yeah, mega memories, and I can't accept that they're the highlights of my career yet at 40 years old, so I'm hoping that there's more of them.
I speak on a supporter's behalf to have you as a supporter, essentially, as our majority owner.
It's a very important civic institution, and it's probably one of the most important things in my life today. And my wife certainly knows it, my kids know it, my mum knows it.
I think he was a little bit, I'm not sure Ad likes me, but then you build the trust with them, and you know that you're going to work with them to improve them. And Kel's been brilliant.
This is why we work hard. Days like this, I just never forget them in football. You know, I'm lucky enough now to have 2 promotions, and it's the best feel. I can't describe the feeling.
He's been a pleasure to work with.
End of my 4th season here at the club. Lots of ups and downs, but all in all, really enjoyed it. Great people, great owners, and look, the hard work of so many people now is coming to fruition.
I have a very full life with the football club in it.
It's really nice to sort of have a bit of reward on the pitch this season. Look, some really exciting things on the horizon.
100 odd years as in existence, and some amazing highlights in recent years, but I constantly say it, Cambridge United's greatest moment hasn't happened yet, and I believe it.